Alright, this is going to be a relatively quick video, but one that I'm pretty excited about. What I'm going to talk about is a place called Pandoland in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's a really cool natural site managed by Project Pando. They're a nonprofit established by the tree company Leaf and Limb, also located in Raleigh, and they do all sorts of work around native plant and habitat restoration, whether it's prairies or forests or savannas. They do a lot of stuff around tree propagation, tree seed collection, and they do educational and volunteer events, all that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in any of that and you're in the triangle of North Carolina, I highly recommend reaching out to Project Pando, Leaf and Limb. I'll have information on how to get connected down in the description of this video, but I want to detail some of the cool things that are happening at Project Pando this spring, well, specifically at Pandoland, one of the sites that Project Pando manages. A really cool thing that's going on here this spring is we started grafting American persimmon. There's a lot of persimmons on this site. These are just naturally occurring, American persimmons. They're kind of forming some thickets, and we went in and started grafting some of them over to cultivars of American persimmon. So we're not working with the Asian persimmon on this site. We're working with improved American persimmon genetics. Recently, a few of us went out there for a grafting work day. We're all kind of learning how to graft together on some of these trees. There was also some bush hogging going on in between the thickets of different trees. Right here you can see a wild plum patch. There's several different wild plum patches here. We believe they're all Chickasaw plums, but because they're all seedlings, they're each a little bit different. There's color variations and taste variations between the wild plums on this site. Another really cool feature at Pandoland is this pocket forest, also called a microforest or a Miyawaki forest, and this is a demonstration site for proof of concept of a microforest. The basic gist with a microforest is that we are mimicking nature in how we establish forests, and also these are typically pretty small, hence the name micro. Also sometimes, again, called pocket forest. I kind of like the word pocket forest better, but anyway, what you do typically, you come in, you want to remove any compaction that you have on site if you have compaction, and you want to bring in some deep mulch to kind of mimic the forest floor, and then you plant trees and shrubs at a really high density, and you go for maximum diversity. So this little pocket forest here, I don't know the exact dimensions, it's probably like 50 feet by 50 feet-ish. And I didn't count the species, but there's dozens and dozens of different species in here. There's probably hundreds of trees and shrubs. We're just kind of looking at it from the outside, and now we're diving in. This forest is 3 years old. All of the trees and shrubs that are in this little patch went in 3 years ago as bare root seedlings. At the time, those trees were 1 year old. So the forest is 3 years old. The trees in it are 4 years old. It's just really mesmerizing, stunning to walk through and see all the different diversity, see all the trees, a lot of which are already taller than I am in their third year. Everybody is just really happy in here. Now, one of the main benefits of a microforest like this is that the ground gets shaded out very, very quickly, and so this has a cooling effect. This creates habitat. It's good for people. It's really great in urban areas where we have this heat island effect, and so it's good for, cooling things down, casting shade quickly. It also means you don't have to fight the weeds as much. You plant this dense, the ground gets covered in leaves quickly, and weed pressure is not a very big deal. Because we're dealing with native plants and we're planting them at the right time of year, and also when they're small and young, you don't really have to water these forests that much. So it is a little bit of effort to establish one. Planting over 100 trees is no small thing, but once you get it established, there's very minimal maintenance in a microforest. You can kind of have these paths through so that people can come into the space. And this is really how nature does it. When nature establishes a forest, it's usually pretty dense seedlings. If you ever walk through an early successional forest, while it's establishing, this is what it looks like. By the way, check out this plum. Wild plum from seed, 4 years old, taller than I am, producing fruit. That's pretty cool. Now, over time, some thinning is going to need to happen in this space. Some of that will happen naturally just from competition, but if humans want to be involved, we could certainly come in a few years and thin out several species or several individual trees to make space for some of the others. But for now, they're really benefiting from being close together. And in our urban areas where there's so little habitat, this is a great way, again, to just smash so much diversity into a small space. Dozens of different species of native plants, all within a little 50 by 50 square. All right, so that's the microforest. Then a close-up on some of these wild plum patches or thickets out away from the microforest at Pandoland. My understanding is that this site started out basically as an abandoned hayfield. It had been cut for a while and then abandoned for a little while, and so these wild plums just showed up as well as those American persimmon patches and several other native plants. And Project Pando has been basically managing the site. They've had to remove some invasives and some non-native trees, and so some of that they do on their own, some of that they do through work days with volunteers. So if you want to get involved with any of the projects going on at Pandoland or with any of the other propagation and seed work that Project Pando does at their nursery site in Raleigh, I definitely recommend reaching out. And again, that information on how to get connected is in the description. I am super excited to pick some plums out of this patch. Hopefully I can get there when they're ripe this year. It's looking like a really good year for these plums. They don't produce prolifically every year, but when they do, they tend to kind of go off. And so the bushes are loaded right now. This is about max height for this species of plum. They won't get much taller, but they will continue to spread out in thickets, which can be really cool. If you don't like that, you can just mow around them. So there's some mowing that happens at this site to kind of limit them from getting bigger, and then if they do want them to get bigger, they just stop mowing a specific area. I really like this area here where there's like a little hallway in between the plums. Super cool. Anyway, this is just a snapshot of what's going on at Pandoland. There's lots of other cool stuff like a pond. There's a really nice old oak tree. There's some dwarf pawpaws. Anyway, hopefully I'll make some follow-up videos about Pandoland in the future the next time that I'm down there. It's a little far from where I live now.